Perfect. Well, I think we're going to start getting things underway. I think we have quite a people that's ready and on board. So first and foremost, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us here today. Thank you also for the people that was able to attend last week. Welcome back to you. Welcome to anybody that's new today. Thanks again for joining us last Monday night. I had a lot of fun. That was very interesting. I actually learned a lot. And it's really fantastic to have you back here to learn more about Splunk and Okta today. And then tonight to pick it back up with the Wayne Gretzky whiskey tasting. So we've got quite a busy day today, so I'm going to get things kicked off here. So just as you see, we're on episode number 2 or event number 2 of our 5-part series, and it's fantastic to, I was looking at the event list there and to see all the familiar names pop back up. I see a few new ones as well. So welcome to everybody there. Just a quick few items for today. We have Splunk and Okta presenting. Last time we had open questions throughout. I think today, just with the dynamics and the time, we're going to reserve questions to the end. Now, that doesn't mean you have to hold your questions. Please feel free to drop them in that text box there. We will queue them up, but we will address them towards the end for you there once we've sort of made our way through the presentations. So one of the other advantages of this being a multi-part series is I don't have to walk you through all my standard slides again. So you were a fantastic audience last week, Monday, you listened through it. I will be clicking through the slides. We will include this for you to just so that it is included in the content. I'll do a very quick summary here. And then if there is any new faces or new people in here that would like more information, please feel free to ping me directly or reach out to your account executive if you have any other questions here. But so in essence here, just very quickly, CDW Canada focusing here. So we're over 900 people with offices across the country. So national presence to help you with any of your needs or any of your questions or security elements that you're looking for. Obviously, ITS integrated services organization, so we can do a lot more. But today here, the focus obviously being security. So and annually, we launch our study. This year was the 6th study we actually launched. That is available to you through your account exec. There's a lot of reading, a lot of info in there for you to digest, but the great thing is it gives us an overview of what's happening in Canada here in our own backyard. So the CDW security team here in Canada consists of over 100 people, ranging everywhere from first-line support for managed services all the way up to PM and experienced solution architects. And myself that are there to help assist you. So just a quick introduction. I just realized if there is somebody new, my name is Theo Van Wyk. I'm head of cybersecurity with CDW here. So I lead the practice and the teams, and I make sure that we have the right solutions and vendors and offerings to help our customers address their security needs. In doing that, you'll hear about this mantra. We'll stop just here quickly again. Prepare, defend, respond. This is core to how we drive our security business at CDW Canada. The important part here for us is that we want to make sure we get that prepare phase in and we work with you so that we can then lead to a defend and respond, which is the actual selection of the technology, implementation of technology, and how you run and operate that, but to make sure that you get your value out of what you've invested in. And so, in reference to Splunk and Okta here with us today, Splunk and Okta really is a neat combination, and while they both individually fit within the defend and the respond portion, when you team them together, as you'll see in a moment, they become a really powerful combination in helping you address the defend and respond tier within our solution sets, and arguably how they even support the ongoing preparation of security programs. So just clicking ahead here, when you look at the CDW portfolio, I've taken a moment here just to put some red squares, boxes around the solution elements where we really see. Now, as with all things good in security, as you know, security bleeds into many areas of the practice. So there's a lot of other services on here that potentially Splunk and Okta will play a role in. But the ones I wanted to highlight here, the very obvious ones where there are key anchor partners would be around SIM and UEBA. So both as a product and professional services for SIM and identity access management. And on the managed services side, the managed SIM offering, and usually we tie that with an identity service. Now, the risk advisory service is supported by these two vendors. That's really key to us is our security program implementation and our ITSM deployment. So you need this visibility. You need to drive that collection of information and data to make sure that we can satisfy those programs. Now, just a quick stop here. So with the Splunk and Okta, Splunk was one of the very, very earliest partners that came in through into Scalar back in the day, and then with the Scalar CDW acquisition, moved over as one of our core partners here. Now, it's worth noting for a second that Splunk is a lot more than just a SIM. In our context, we refer and work with it a lot as a SIM, but the reality of Splunk has to be looked at as an analytics platform and analytics engine. So it does so much more. And you'll hear this from Splunk today as well, but the big focus for us today here is just going to be how we leverage Splunk to tie our security event management and our security services. On the flip side, you have Okta. Now, over time, as for those of you, a little bit of technical talk for a second, but as we look at the OSI model for how things are deployed, over time, we've really seen how security has moved from physical connectivity, layer 2, layer 3, which was IP address ranges, and as we collect the data and put events together, being able to more granularly identify what's happening within that data set is really important for us. And so as we moved up from layer 2, layer 3, which was regular firewalls, up to 4 and 5, and we started seeing application-based firewalls and next-generation firewalls, everywhere along there, we've had Okta or identity access management that plays a role in also tying a user-based identity to this logging and then this information. So these two solutions together does an incredible job of enriching and working together on what we're doing and what we're looking for our customers here. Now, so for today, for our speakers, from Splunk side, I'm going to do introductions for both speakers, and then I'll let Eric and Jeremiah take it away. But on Splunk side today, we have Eric C. Eric is a cyber Splunk engineer. Eric has over 20 years of experience in the information security, so he knows his stuff. He's been around. He's also had multiple speaking engagements. So most recently and most notably, one of the main ones was being on the stage with a CISO of Homeland Security, where Eric got to talk about why organizations in so many cases is actually resistant to sharing cyber threat information. So welcome to Eric for that one. And then for Jeremiah, Jeremiah is one of the Alliance Solutions engineers from Okta, and he's here with us today. So Jeremiah has over a decade of experience in IT security, both on the corporate side and also on pre-sale side. So it's really neat. Jeremiah has walked the road, has walked in the trenches with you. He understands from a corporate or a customer perspective what you're facing when it comes to identity access management. At the same time, also, he brings leverage this to bring a multifaceted experience and a wealth of IT information. So welcome, gentlemen, and I'm going to hand over the presentation to you first, Eric.
Thank you, Theo. Appreciate the introduction. Good morning, everybody. I'm going to turn off the video just to make sure that I'm not consuming my bandwidth through the video. So I have a quick presentation and demonstration prepared for everybody today. Can everybody see my screen okay? Just a quick sound check.
Yes, we're good.
All right, thank you. So just a quick intro, forward-looking statement. Please make your buying decisions based on what's actually available for the consumption by customers. So let's get into it. So as Theo alluded to it, there are challenges, and hopefully the survey this year will affirm some of these challenges that you see in front of you in terms of what we call dwell time, which is the time between a security incident appearing on your network, and then the ability to actually detect that and actually hopefully not be informed by a third party that such a compromise has appeared. So another challenge that many of our customers allude to is the complexity and there's just too many consoles, too many tools that an analyst is expected to understand, as well as go into in order to properly perform forensics and to properly understand the context of a threat or indicator of compromise. Another key aspect of this is the skill set of our SOC. Certainly partners like CDW can help augment that skill set, but ultimately your team needs to have good grasp of not just the security use cases and the attack surfaces, but also the various tools and how to efficiently get to the nuggets of information that allow you to confirm that something is a positive versus a false positive, right? And then the ability to scale, both in volume as well as to be able to deal with things like automation and orchestration, which is the goal with many organizations in terms of being able to um, uh, spread the team and amplify the ability of the team to address more threats, to address a larger threat surface, especially if you're evolving your data center from an on-prem data center to maybe a cloud or hybrid model. Those are the challenges that many of our clients are struggling with in terms of new data sources, as well as correlating all these new and desperate data sources into a cohesive uh, scope and cohesive view of what's going on within the security space. Hopefully, you're not dealing with these complexity with some sort of legacy appliance or some sort of security appliance that you have in your data center. And where Splunk helps in dealing with some of these challenges is that we can easily transition from your legacy system into what we call a analytics driven security operations center, or a SIM, to address many of these concerns around what you may be dealing with today and the complexities that face your team in terms of the security landscape. How we do that is simply to give you the ability to easily integrate all these different security technologies that you've adopted, either by design or one of your teams within your organization makes a certain technology choice, and you have to somehow incorporate that into your security landscape, right? So Splunk provides many uh, apps or add-ons that allow you to ingest the data coming from all these technologies. Moreover, we also have add-ons that allow you to automate or orchestrate using the Splunk intelligence and be able to change things like firewall policies, change actual networking policies, and other remediation tasks that would require manual effort. We can potentially automate some of these so that your team, again, has to deal with less noise and deal with actionable, more high value analysis around what's going on within your within the security landscape. One of the key tools in terms of these data sources that I referred to in the slide previous is Okta and the fact that multi-factor authentication solves many of the challenges that that the data center and securing the data center presents. And what you want to do is, as Theo alluded to, is contextualize the user and identity aspects of the data with the IP and DNS and other technologies that allow you to paint the picture of who's connecting to what, okay? And what is the reason? Is this anomalous in terms of behavior, or is this normal behavior for that particular identity or user? So that's the challenge that many of us are presented with. So that gives you a sense of how Okta can really augment what's in the data set that your data center or your SIM is collecting for you. Just a brief overview of the portfolio. The main aspects of the SIM operations include the platform, which is Splunk on the far left here. Enterprise security is our out-of-the-box SIM solution that has predefined correlation rules that will help you correlate the Okta data along with the other data that it's seeing, whether you're talking about firewalls, your vulnerability scanners, your EDR types of solutions, that's all tied into a single view of what's going on and the incidents that are happening. You can augment that SIM with a component called user behavior analytics, which basically allows you to profile the users and the systems that are in your organization, whether they're accessing data, connecting to servers on a normal basis, or a outlier, which could be a indicator of some sort of account compromise or a account takeover situation. Okay. So with that said, I know I'm going through this pretty quickly, but we could certainly double down or double click on certain aspects of this as we go into Q&A, but certainly engage your CDW team to have a specific presentation around our SIM and our SOC capabilities. But just to reaffirm, we are the leader in the Magic Quadrant. We've had the privilege of being in the top rate of the MQ for the last 6 years. In the most recent MQ release, we are ranked highest in terms of the ability to execute, meaning we have the ability to show you both the known knowns, which is your threat intel, and correlating those to unknowns, unknown unknowns, right? So those malware, zero-day types of attacks, and other harder to detect use cases. Okay, what I'd like to do at this point is to transition to a quick demo of the enterprise security offering. Close this out here. All right, what you see in front of you is the main landing page for enterprise security. It is the SIM, the premium app from Splunk that allows you to correlate all this data into a single platform for your SOC teams, tier X, right? Tier 1, 2, 3, etc. If you engage in any sort of remediation, this becomes the platform for your audit compliance, as well as your remediation teams can leverage this to understand what has been the surface of the attack, as well as the containment actions that we're taking. So the idea here is that advanced analytics is being applied to the data, and you see some of the visualizations that are provided out of the box from enterprise security. On the far left here, we have, so in Splunk vernacular, these incidents are known as notable events. So we help you prioritize the notable events that are being detected within the SIM. And so that way your team can prioritize their time in terms of remediation and efforts to do threat hunting and understand whether this is a true positive or a false positive. Just below that, we have some examples of some of the detections or the rules that have been firing inside the SIM. So we also, as I alluded to, can integrate user behavior analytics, so you can see the UBA detected threats right from this particular console. So that way you don't have to necessarily log into different tools in order to see everything in one place. So your team doesn't have to literally go hunt for which screen should I be looking at. The data is brought together so that you can understand the context and be able to make a determination whether a actionable response is needed in order to deal with a particular threat. So what I'm going to do is quickly drill into a particular incident to show you what that might look like. What we've done with enterprise security is to incorporate some of the more advanced capabilities that are emerging in the marketplace. So things like mapping these events to the MITRE ATT&CK framework as an example, so that you can see as things are being detected what the particular MITRE ATT&CK techniques and tactics that are potentially impacting your data center and your team. Okay, so we see some of the low-level detail here that your SOC tiers will need in order to understand the context of the event, as well as what potential remediation actions are necessary in order to document and close out these incidents. What I can do is also gather additional information by leveraging some of the advanced analytics. And in this particular case, we're bringing all the various data elements from everything from our intrusion detection systems to our network and networking technologies, endpoint changes, vulnerability scanners, DNS activity or requests, but more all pivoting around a particular asset in this case. So this particular IP that has been seen through the system as a potential system of compromise. And what we can do now is drill into any of these areas within the that's been captured around this particular system, so that we can see all the activities from in this case, our intrusion detection. We can look at the vulnerabilities through our vulnerability scanner, etc. So your analysts don't need to necessarily, again, go into each and every one of these distinct and necessary technologies that manage a particular domain or an attack surface. And all this is coming into a singular data platform, which is Splunk, in order for you to make that determination as to what the appropriate actions are based on what is being detected and seen. And as a result, going back to our incident review screen here, what you can do now is then automate the action response to that particular incident or that particular indicator. So what I can do is trigger an action to any technology that we can connect to or interface with. So things like our EDR solution, our endpoint solution, we can isolate the particular system in terms of quarantining that host, so that we can potentially mitigate their ability to do lateral movement or to perhaps communicate compromised data out to a command and control infrastructure. Those sort of things are very you can execute very easily through the Splunk system, so that you don't have to, again, log into different systems. If you do have ticketing systems in play here, we can certainly communicate out to those systems easily as all part of this singular platform for your security needs. So with that said, I'd like to conclude my presentation and hand it over to the Okta team.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Eric. And thank you to the CDW team for having us today to talk about our product. So really Okta and then also our integration with Splunk as well. Really how we can really integrate with any best of breed products out there. That's really our model. So let me full screen it. All right, actually, let me stop sharing my screen so you don't have to see me or my video. All right, perfect. So yes, I'm Jeremiah here. I'm based out of Orange County, California. And today I'm going to talk about Okta, but then also the integration with Splunk. So why is there a need for a new approach for security? Well, one, now there's a lot more people accessing from untrusted location and also untrusted devices, right? Where before everything was within the firewall, within your network, that was trusted, secured. But now you just have a lot more people accessing from a lot of different places, especially the bad guys, right? Once they get access, they pretty much have blanket access across a lot of different resources on-prem, especially when you're thinking about things like VPN and such, right? And so the perimeter is dissolving or disappearing because of this. So you can no longer assume trust. You have the different users, whether employees, contractors, partners, and so on, and they're accessing all those different resources, whether it's on-prem for with VPNs and such, the infrastructure, applications, different platforms, APIs, and then a lot of different devices. So a lot of untrusted. So now the identity is really the new perimeter. And how Okta is able to help, especially when you're thinking about zero trust out there. I know for a lot of people, zero trust was considered to be more of a buzzword, but it's a reality. It is a dominant security architecture, especially for any large organization trying to secure the cloud. So how Okta is able to help centralize identity and access via a single sign-on, pervasive context-aware security, automated provisioning and deprovisioning, and then lastly, being able to have your apps, servers, APIs, whether cloud or on-prem, being secure. And so Okta at a glance, just in case you're not familiar with Okta, we were founded in 2009. We pioneered identity and access management in the cloud. And then back in 2017, we IPO'd. Over 8,000 customers, whether you're a mom and pop shop or a Fortune 500 company, it doesn't really matter what industry or geography you're in, you're facing the same challenges. Over 10 million daily authenticated users. I think we're actually at over 15 at this point. And I'll talk about the two different use cases for that. We have over 6,600 pre-integrated applications in what we call the Okta Integration Network. I'll cover that as well. And then 9-time Gartner Magic Quadrant leader. Only vendor in the industry to ever achieve this. You'll notice right here for the access management on the far left, you have Okta in the top right. So we are the leader there. Last year, we were closer to the bunch, but since then, we've gained a pretty significant lead over Microsoft. Forrester Wave for identity as a service, we're also a leader. We're the leader there as well. And then for zero trust, we are in the pack as far as the leaders. And if you know zero trust is not a one throat choke type of environment. You need a lot of different solutions to achieve it. But Okta is a leader there to help organizations get across that finish line, become zero trust compliant. The Global 2000 depend on Okta. So as you can see, a lot of big names here that your mom, your grandparents, everybody will be able to notice. And then millions of people use Okta every day. And that's because of our two primary use cases. One is going to be workforce identity. So when the employees of these companies here log into their corporate apps every day, they're logging in through Okta. Also, maybe it's contractors, partners, and such. They're logging in to Okta to do to be productive, right? We have the user experience, whether you're on a laptop or a mobile device, it doesn't matter. It's going to be the same consistent, easy user experience, username, password, and then you're able to log in and get in. Also multi-factor authentication as well, if that's a requirement. But this is the user portal, all the applications that are assigned to this user, as well as the on the mobile device, it is the same user experience. Eric, you're still unmuted at the moment. I'm getting some background noise. Thank you. User experience, you get all these apps, but also what's great is when you integrate a new application with Okta, the app just pops up here, right? It's not the older method where IT integrates a new app, sends everybody an email, hey, go to this portal, log in, change your password, and then now that user has a new portal to remember, a new credential to manage, so they end up using the same password over and over and such. So by implementing Okta and single sign-on, the app just pops up, right? Makes it easier to roll out. and adopt those best-of-breed products. The next use case we have is our customer identity. So these companies here, these large companies here, trust Okta to do the authentication for their customers when their customers are logging into their apps. So for this scenario, we have Albertsons and Major League Baseball, MLB.com. When you log into these products, you're actually authenticating with Okta. So then for these companies, they may have great developers who are developing great applications, but they're generally not security-focused developers. They're good at developing the apps. So they trust Okta to do the authentication. We're a security company. We do the authentication, multi-factor. We also can immediately, within minutes, give the ability to do social authentication. So maybe have customers log into your website using Facebook or something like that. We have that built right into Okta. So you're not spending all this time. A lot of times developers will go to like a GitHub or something, download the library. So that's custom code, right? And it's about 83% of application vulnerabilities are from custom code. Don't do that. Let Okta do the authentication. You then just focus on the user experience, and that's it. So with that, the different products Okta has to tackle different use cases. They're both in the customer as well as the workforce identity, the two main use cases, and they do overlap. So single sign-on, I think everybody's familiar with that. That's how Okta started. I think that's what people think of Okta. But like I mentioned earlier, adopt a new application. Users have more credentials to manage, more portals, so they end up using the same password over and over and over, or simple passwords, right? By implementing single sign-on, you can eliminate the amount of credentials that a user has to manage. But in the event that they are compromised, that something happens, they get phished, well, we have adaptive multi-factor authentication. And that's really a two-part product. You have multi-factor authentication, SMS. We support, I think, over 16 factor types now out of the box, including third-party. We have what's called Okta Verify. It's a mobile app that you could do a push notification, approve, fingerprint, and then you can go about your day. Lifecycle management, automated onboarding and offboarding of users. I'll go into that a little bit more with a better example, but really end-to-end onboarding and offboarding, where it can actually even be driven from like an HR solution all the way down into Active Directory. Universal Directory, the core of Okta's product. That is what Okta's built on. You could essentially look at it as like an Azure AD, but for that's Okta, but strictly for user identities, the groups, the policies and such. They're all there. Also, when I talked about the Major League Baseball or the Albertson scenario, Universal Directory can host those user identities for the customer. So then you're not having to manage a SQL database or whatever it might be. Okta can manage that. It's scalable, extremely secure. And then we have Access Gateway. This is a newer product that we have where you could do single sign-on into infrastructure. So being able to integrate with those on-prem, those legacy web applications, where maybe it's a third-party product or maybe the original dev team, they're no longer in the company. And so trying to get that to be single sign-on ready is probably unlikely. So by implementing Access Gateway, you can get single sign-on into the server or into those application web apps. But one thing to note also is multi-factor, right? Being able to immediately have multi-factor on those on-prem apps, especially when you're thinking about compliance, PCI, NIST, whatever it might be. MFA on those apps is a requirement, right? So by implementing Access Gateway, you get immediate single sign-on and MFA into those on-prem apps. Advanced Server Access. So this is single sign-on and multi-factor into your infrastructure. So for admins, when you're logging into Linux servers via SSH, this is a agent-based product, but you can get single sign-on MFA immediately. So PCI compliance, this is a great product. API access management, securing APIs between applications. Nowadays, all data is transferred through APIs for the most part, so being able to secure those is increasingly important, right? And then lastly, our developer SDKs. So developer.okta.com. That customer identity that I mentioned earlier, that's where we're able to, our customers can go, has all of our toolkits and such, super easy. You can get authentication onto an app within minutes. So very, very simple. And then now the different integrations. So Okta, so we are independent and neutral. We're really not in the business of telling any of our customers to go with one product or another. We're really here to enable all of our customers with what they need to be productive. And with our Okta Integration Network, which is our catalog of all of our pre-integrated applications, we can get those applications rolled out for you about 6 times faster than our competitors because these are all pre-built. Super simple, step by step, easy, quick rollouts where we see customers roll out Okta within a matter of weeks, sometimes even days. It's really crazy. And then you could also notice all the best of breed products. So being able to have solutions like a Splunk, so the different SIM tools, really it's best of breed. We're not going to force you into anything. It's really what you need to be productive and for your users to be productive. So going back to the provisioning, I mentioned I'll have this scenario here. So HR-driven provisioning, something we see a lot these days, especially because there's always that disconnect between HR and IT. HR knows when somebody signs a job offer or puts in their 2 weeks. IT, usually you don't know until the person's standing next to you day one and you're told, and you didn't even know somebody was going to start, or you're told, okay, well, we let this person go today at noon. You're like, well, it's 5 o'clock. They've had the entire day to wreak havoc. So by integrating Okta with an HR tool, HR is able to make the onboarding and offboarding or kick that off. So HR creates it into their system. Okta grabs that. Then based off of maybe their job title or their department, whatever it is, Okta will then create that user in the downstream applications that support provisioning. But then we also do things like licenses. So maybe for HR, maybe people on the IT staff get E3 licenses, but maybe people on the sales staff get E1 licenses. All of that is done through Okta. And then we can also do something like add a user to a channel within Slack and then send a welcome message to the team that that person has joined. So all of this automated. And then lastly, we can then create that user in on-prem directory. So like Active Directory if you want. You'll notice this, all of these lines have an arrow on both sides. We could read and write in any direction that the application allows us, and obviously also what you want to allow. But it's really consistent across the board. So when the person leaves the company, really the more important part, it is immediately closed up within Okta, and then we deprovision, remove the licenses so they can be used later on for somebody else. But really end-to-end onboarding and offboarding of those users so you don't have those dormant users sitting there, possibly security risks, right? And also for auditing, this is huge. Have it all consistent, not just when IT has a chance to get to it. Access Gateway, I'm not going to go into this, but it's because I already talked about it. It's the single sign-on into the on-prem web applications that are within the firewall, the apps, the gateway. The user goes to access, and then all of the same multi-factor policies, everything are applied to access those on-prem applications. As advanced server access, same. I won't go into this, but the user goes, the admin goes to log into one of those servers. It goes into Okta. We do authentication, authorization. What servers do they have access to? And then they're issued a credential, and then they can single sign on into whatever servers that they have authorization to access. So really makes their lives easier, but it's also secure because you're eliminating those static credentials, those static SSH keys and such. Now, Okta and Splunk, our integration there, or our partnership. So we have they have over 15,000 customers. They're one of our marquee workforce identity customers. So they use us internally when they log in. They were looking to extend Okta to their infrastructure. So they deployed advanced server access to over 2,000 of their AWS servers. So when they roll out new servers, they also advanced server access is on there, so their engineers and such can single sign on into those servers easily, seamlessly, but then also have multi-factor and our adaptive policies and such, so they're able to immediately get in and be secure. Game visibility, I know Eric had this slide as well. So by taking the context, the user's context, we're taking the our event logs, user information, group membership information, application, and assignment. All of that is getting fed into Splunk for you to be able to do some additional responses, so security responses. This is a big one. So let's say a user for this one will say there's something happens that triggers an event. Well, then Splunk will send that back to Okta, and then we can then remove that user. Maybe it's it's something bad, so we can move them into a group that has higher security policies, or maybe trigger a reset password or trigger multi-factor authentication. So really, it's up to you. But there's a lot of different triggers that you're able to do some responses. So maybe even suspend or deactivate, depending on what that scenario is or that session is. Some of our customers, joint customers, so Motorola, they wanted to improve ability to monitor access requests. So the Okta integration with Splunk provides complete visibility into access behaviors. The business value there is going to be increased visibility. So the company can now monitor for a variety of warning signs there. The other one is going to be needed to balance security. So this is actually an airport, Dubai's International Airport. They needed to balance security with a positive, convenient customer experience, wanted to provide shared services throughout the airport while protecting sensitive info. And the Okta, how we were able to help by providing adaptive multi-factor authentication that's going to prompt for a second factor in more sensitive situations. Integrating Splunk and Okta made it possible to provide partners with access to isolated dashboards. And then the value there is going to be increased visibility into airport activity for all stakeholders, enhanced adaptive security measures, secure shared services access, and then also the last one being improved customer experience. All right. And how are we on time? About 15 minutes. Let's see. You know what? I think that's it. You know what? I'm just going to do a quick demo for you real quick, since I think I'm good on time. So let me go ahead and do a quick demo. So this is my Okta environment. I've given it the look and feel that I want. All of our customers can do the same. You get basically, you can do the wallpaper, company logo. You can change the verbiage around if you'd like. But then all of our customers are provided an Okta subdomain. So you're logging into your Okta environment. But we know, all the companies out there are going to have their own domain. So you can bring that. So it's going to be like sso.yourdomain.com. So Okta is nowhere within the URL at all. Right here on the dashboard, you'll also notice that we have this forgot password, unlock account, so self-service functions. This could be a project within itself, right, for customers, where you need this built out. Maybe it's something old legacy product you have on-prem, or you just want to lower the load for your IT team because it will be it becomes a high priority, right? When a user can't log in, IT has to drop what they're doing. So let them go ahead, do this on their own, answer some security questions. But Okta does tie into Active Directory as well. So right here, I'm actually going to be inputting my Active Directory credentials. So I'm not having to manage another set of credentials just for Okta. It would just be the Active Directory credentials they're logging into their computer with. You'll notice the image of the Golden Gate Bridge pops up. That's for phishing. So if it doesn't pop up, you just tell your users, hey, don't log in, contact IT. Let me go ahead and do next. I'm going to put in my password. And then now I'm challenged for multi-factor authentication. So when a user gets challenged for multi-factor, they can click this little drop down here, specify the factor type that they want to use. Now, these are all the ones that I'm enrolled in. If a user's only enrolled in one, they won't even get the drop down. It's just going to be set to what they have. But a lot of times you want to give your users multiple options. Maybe one is a fallback. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and use Okta Verify. And Okta Verify, it's our mobile app available on all of the major phone OSs. Let me see, will it pop up on my phone? Oh, you know what? My Reflector app, I think, has crashed on me. Let me do it again. And here it is. So my mobile, this is the Okta Verify app. I can do the push notification now. I do push. It immediately goes to my phone where I made the request, when I made the request. So then I can actually go in and get more context if I want. But I'm going to go ahead and do yes, it's me. We will lock the app with the Touch ID, Face ID, whatever Android calls there, biometric, but biometric for extra security. So we can verify the person is who they say they are. And then now I've gotten access into Okta, right? So now I'm on the user portal. So if you notice, it's a very, very simple, easy, intuitive authentication process. Really, the least amount of friction while still providing a lot of providing security. So all of these apps here are already integrated by the admin, and they've been assigned to this user. So you'll notice I'm actually able to go directly to my apps, where it's just single sign-on right into those different applications. Great user experience. while being extremely secure. The least amount of credentials required, the better. Right? It's going to be a easier experience, but then also extremely secure. And then just to finish up, the last piece is going to be the admin console. So when I clicked on admin, now this is how the admin is going to manage Okta. So as you can see, same, very intuitive, simple, clean management. Where if you compare it to like a Microsoft, right, it's extremely complex. There's a lot of fragmented dashboards all over for the different products. With Okta, everything is all the single pane of glass, as they say. All right, and that is it for me.
That is perfect. Thank you, Jeremiah. Thank you, Eric. I think those was some good some good content there. So I don't see any questions yet, so I think each of you guys have done a phenomenal job. But I think maybe in the meantime, Ivo, do you have a question that you want to?
Yeah, I think it would be interesting for specifically Jeremiah to kind of focus a little bit. I think a lot of organizations have legacy applications like mainframes, for instance, where the user database has not been fully integrated into an Active Directory, like into Active Directory or any directory whatsoever. How do you guys help with that in-house or legacy user databases that are hosted in those mainframes? What's your approach to that?
Yeah, so what we can do, so there's different ways. So we do have agents. So let's say if it's an on-prem directory, like it could be LDAP, AD. If it's not AD, we do have what's called on-prem provisioning. And we can then tie into like a SQL database or something like that. There's a lot of different ways to do it. If it has APIs available, we can do it, but we can pull those into Okta. Also, what you could do is you could have Okta mastered users. So where you don't even need to tie into any on-prem database, it's all within Okta's universal directory. So really, that's, I think, something within the solutioning process where we could look into it and see, okay, well, do we keep it on that, move it to universal directory? But yes, there's different methods to be able to do that.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Does that answer your
question? If I can dovetail on that, I just literally this morning before jumping on this CDW event, I was having a conversation with one of the banks in Canada, talking about pulling in mainframe data and performance and capacity planning use cases. But I can certainly see the user aspect of it and contextualizing the user and the use of the applications on the mainframe. We become very intricate or integral in terms of to be able to relay the user security as well as the user from an application point of view back to the entire service in terms of, yes, the mainframe is an integral part, but it's being able to see everything in context.
Perfect. Another quick question for you. I'll sort of preface it with some of the stuff we've seen. So in this study we did this year, one of the big items that stood out was around third-party security. So just access to environments and just how to control and monitor third parties when they come in. There was a lot of data around customers actually experiencing some form of security events because of third-party access or lack of posture on the third-party side. And then in reverse, also just some of the frustration with not having visibility. So multiple credentials being used or like single credentials being used within the third party. So just out of curiosity, I think sort of between Eric, between yourself and Jeremiah, can you comment a little bit on how you would use your solution sets either individually or combined to help address some of the third party access challenges potentially? Yeah. Eric, you want to? Well, Jeremiah, okay, all yours to go for it.
Yeah, I'll start with that. So with third-party access, so let's say with integrating these best-of-breed products, so by implementing the standard single sign-on protocols, so SAML, Security Assertion Markup Language, WS Federation for Windows, or OpenID Connect, more of the modern ones, you eliminate the credentials at those third-party tools. So then the only credential you have to manage is the one within Okta. So really reducing the attack surface, the amount of credentials that could possibly get phished, the different portals. So that's from a workforce identity standpoint, which would be for the employees, the partners, and so on. But then when you think about the external part, right? If it's customer identity, the same thing, a third-party tool. By implementing Okta for authentication, then you can make it even easier for users where they're using social authentication to log into the product immediately, or being able to enforce multi-factor. So in the event that they're compromised. So really, that's because it's all authentication, right? So if it flows through Okta, we could secure it. And then if something happens, an event triggers, some bad actor, somebody traveled too quickly, that gets fed into Splunk, and then they can source that, and then we could take some additional triggers.
Perfect. Eric?
Sorry, I got to go on mute here. Yeah, so that's exactly the point, is that what we try to do is whether it's legacy authentication or more the modern SAML types of, what we can do within the SIM itself is to actually tie all the identities to potentially a single user or a set of users so that we can actually do the correlation. In fact, if I can just quickly share my screen again, I can actually show that dashboard to the audience if that is possible.
Absolutely.
Here we go. So this is literally one of the screens, one of the dashboards that are out of the box within enterprise security. And what we're doing is we recognize that there are different credentials for different systems. And what we're trying to do here, as you can see, is to try to link all the various Active Directory, other user identities to be able to help the security folks understand, okay, is this the same user? And then also, obviously, in terms of the user behavior analytics, be able to say, hey, is this a unusual behavior with regards to this particular credential in terms of how they interface with different systems, as well as the activities that they're trying to execute within the environment.
Right. So this is where you start bringing some of the behavioral analysis elements back in to sort of describe the scenarios that you wouldn't normally be able to define on a standard security rule.
Correct. Much harder, put it that way.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you. Well, I didn't see any questions. Mackenzie, was there any questions that maybe went directly to you, or are we good? I think I caught Mackenzie off guard there. Perfect. Okay, well, I'll tell you what, we're going to have these gentlemen back with us tonight. We're going to have a chance to do some whiskey taste testing with Beller. Great opportunity there. I know it's a little bit trickier because participants are text-based only, but tonight it's full audio options. So please join us then. I'm going to give 5 minutes back to your day. So wrap up some of those extra emails, hopefully, and free up some extra time for the evening tonight. And then come join us in the discussion there. Like, it's a very open forum. So any questions you have specific to your environment, you want to ask questions to these gentlemen or to us, would love to have that there, or just come join us for some social fun. In the meantime, Eric, Jeremiah, thank you so much for your time and the presentations today. I really appreciate it. It was fantastic to hear. I always enjoy it when I see integration between two partners and like a really good holistic complementary story. So that was really, really good. I really enjoyed that. Thank you. And then thank you to all the attendees that took time out of their busy Mondays to join us today. And we hope we will see the attendees tonight, or if you cannot make tonight, definitely next Monday. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great day.